So I was doing some research for this speech, and by research, I mean I got into an argument with my partner, took 30 minutes to calm down, spent another 20 wondering why I even got angry in the first place, and then Googled why do men and women argue so much. And what I found was not relationship advice, it was neuroscience, which is somehow both more comforting and more terrifying. Because it turns out we aren't just arguing about who forgot to buy milk. We are the product of 200,000 years of evolution that essentially built us for completely different jobs, handed us completely different brains, and then said, good luck, share an apartment. Part 1, the hardware is different. Let's start with the basics, the human brain. Now scientists have been studying this for decades, and what they found is fascinating. The male brain and the female brain are not the same, and before anyone gets upset, this is not a value judgment. This is like saying a hammer and a screwdriver are different. Neither is better, but if you try to use a hammer to fix a screw, something is going to break, possibly a wall, possibly a relationship. Here's the first big difference, the corpus callosum. The corpus callosum is the cable that connects the left brain, logic, language, analysis, to the right brain, emotion, intuition, creativity. In female brains, this cable is thicker and more densely packed with nerve fibers. In male brains, it's thinner. What this means in practice. Women can simultaneously feel an emotion and describe it in precise, articulate language. Men feel an emotion and then stare at a wall for 40 minutes trying to remember what words are. You know that face men make, that blank face where they look like they've been mildly sedated. They're not ignoring you, they're loading. They're a browser with too many tabs open and the spinning wheel of death has appeared. Please wait. Part 2, the cave problem. Why did evolution do this to us? Well, we have to go back, way back. Picture at 50,000 BC, the African savanna. The men are hunters. Their survival depends on single-minded focus. You are tracking a wildebeest. You cannot be thinking about your feelings right now. You cannot be like, I sense that Gary seems a little distant lately. Maybe I should check in with him. No, you focus on one thing. You chase the wildebeest. You catch the wildebeest. You don't think about anything except the wildebeest. This is why, to this day, a man can watch TV and be completely unreachable. He has located his wildebeest. His wildebeest is currently a YouTube video about motorcycles he will never buy. Meanwhile, back at the camp, the women were doing something far more cognitively complex, everything else. Gathering food, which requires remembering which plant is edible, which is poisonous, where you found it last season. Raising children, monitoring social dynamics, keeping the tribe together. This required broad awareness, multitasking, and an exquisite sensitivity to other people's emotions, because if you couldn't read when someone in the tribe was angry or sad or plotting against you, you were dead. So evolution, in its infinite wisdom, gave women brains that are always on, processing everything at once, emotionally tuned in, socially aware. And it gave men brains with an actual, documented thing called the nothing box. I'm not making this up. Researchers have found that men, when asked to simply relax, can enter a state of genuine mental vacancy. Their brains show almost no activity. They are thinking about nothing, literally nothing. Researchers were baffled. They asked men afterward what they'd been thinking about. Nothing. Something must be on your mind. Nope. Are you sure? There was briefly a car, but it left. Women do not have a nothing box. Women have a everything box that never closes, never sleeps, and occasionally opens at 3 a.m. to remind them of an embarrassing thing they said in 2011. Part 3, Communication, OR, the Great Translation Crisis. Now let's talk about how men and women communicate, because this is where it really gets hilarious. Studies show that women, on average, use about 20,000 words per day. Men use about 7,000. This is not because women talk too much. It's because men are dangerously under-resourced. They spend 7,000 words and then they're done. The word tank is empty. You ask a man something at 9 p.m. and you get a grunt and a shrug. He used up his words. He gave them all at work. He's running on fumes. What happens when these two communication styles collide? A woman comes home and says, I had the worst day. My boss ignored my presentation. I spilled coffee on my shirt. I had to redo the whole report. Sarah in accounting was being passive-aggressive again, and then my train was delayed by 40 minutes. She wants empathy, validation, to be heard. A man hears problem, 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 and immediately, without any malicious intent whatsoever, his brain does what it evolved to do. It goes into solution mode, he says. You should talk to your boss, buy a new shirt, email Sarah, take the bus. Boom, 5 solutions in 10 seconds, efficient, logical, completely beside the point. The woman is now more upset than she was about the original problems because she wasn't asking for solutions. She was narrating her experience so someone could commiserate with her. Now the man is confused. He helped. He solved things. This is what good people do. Why is there more crying? The reason, and this is actually from neuroscience, is that talking about emotions helps women process them. It's neurologically regulatory. For men, the brain tends to be more action-oriented. Identify the problem, eliminate the problem, move on. They don't realize that for many women, the talking is the processing. The solution isn't the point. The point is the journey. This is basically two people trying to play different sports on the same field, both wondering why the other one isn't following the rules. Part 4: Stress, Arguments, and the Cave of Silence. Here's another fun neurological difference: how we handle stress. When men are stressed, they tend to withdraw, go quiet, retreat into the nothing box. Psychologists call this tend and withdraw. It is the evolutionary equivalent of going back into the cave. Women, when stressed, tend to do the opposite. They reach out, they talk, they connect, they call their friends, they process out loud. Researchers call this tend and befriend. So what happens in a relationship when both people are stressed at the same time? The woman wants to talk about it. The man goes into the cave. The woman follows him into the cave to talk about it. He goes deeper into the cave. She is now also in the cave, but slightly more upset. He has found a rock to stare at. She is explaining her feelings to the back of his head. And neither of them understands why the other one is being so unreasonable. This is the plot of every argument in human history. The cave is metaphorical, usually. Part 5: Emotions, the web Vs, the box. Here's something genuinely fascinating. Researchers at Penn Medicine did brain scans comparing male and female brains and found that female brains have more interconnected neural networks, particularly between the parts that control logic and emotion. Male brains tend to have more connections within each hemisphere. Logic talks to logic, action talks to action. What this means, women often experience emotions as complex, layered, interconnected things. They can feel proud and embarrassed simultaneously, relieved and nervous at the same time, happy about something but also aware of an underlying sadness. It's like an emotional symphony playing at all times. Men tend to experience emotions in a simpler, more sequential way. And importantly, many men have less neural connectivity between the part of the brain that feels an emotion and the part that produces language, which is why men so often feel something acutely, but genuinely cannot explain what it is. A man in an argument: I don't know what I'm feeling, I just feel a thing. That's not evasion, that is a technical limitation. It's like asking someone to describe a color in a language that doesn't have a word for it. The feeling is there. The language pipeline just doesn't connect to it. Part 6: Spatial Reasoning Vs, Emotional Memory. Men on average score slightly higher on spatial reasoning tasks, rotating 3D objects in their minds, navigating without landmarks, judging distances. Evolutionary payoff: you are better at throwing spears and not getting lost in the woods. Modern application: they will absolutely refuse to ask for directions because some part of their brain genuinely believes they don't need them. Women on average tend to have stronger verbal memory and emotional memory. They are better at remembering conversations, contexts, who said what and when, and the emotional tone of past events. Modern application: she will remember exactly what he said, on which date, in which tone, and precisely what he was wearing. He, meanwhile, has no memory of this event. It has been deleted. It is gone. It is with the wildebeest. You said you were fine with it. I said I was fine. In the car on a Thursday, you were eating a granola bar. I don't even remember that Thursday. Both of them are telling the truth. This is the horror. Conclusion: the beautiful disaster. Here's the thing. None of this means men and women can't understand each other. It means understanding each other requires actual effort, because we are, in a very real neurological sense, operating on different software. When a woman says, I just need to vent, that is not irrational. Her brain is literally processing stress through language. When a man goes quiet and needs space, that is not rejection. His nervous system is literally decompressing through stillness. When she remembers something from 4 years ago that he has entirely forgotten, she is not keeping score. Her emotional memory is just very, very good. When he offers 5 solutions in a row instead of a hug, he is not being cold. He is trying to help using the only toolkit he has. Evolution built us to work together, the broad awareness, socially connected, emotionally attuned brain complementing the focused, action-oriented, spatially gifted brain, hunter and gatherer, speaker and listener, feeler and fixer. The problem isn't that we're different. The problem is that we keep expecting each other to be the same. So the next time your partner does something completely baffling, take a breath and remember, somewhere on the savannah, 50,000 years ago, this made perfect sense. And then explain it very slowly, with eye contact.